Hello and welcome to Jedi's Pagan Vlog. I'm your host, Jedi83, and today I want to talk to you about full moon rituals. The reason I want to go ahead and talk about this ritual is because, at least as of the time of filming this video, which is January 2nd, 2023, we do have the first full moon of the year coming up. I believe it's on Friday. So I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of, give new practitioners a little bit of an idea of why we do full moon rituals. Before we get started, remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and like this video, and check out my website at Hacker Labs. I'm sorry, not that one. That's my video game site. Check out my website at www.wiccan.pw. This one's gonna be one of those mornings. Okay, let's get started. So why do we do full moon rituals? Well, there's a few reasons. Part of it is historically people actually thought the moon was a deity themselves. Now we know that today that this is not the case. We know that that's not just a giant deity hanging out in the sky at night. We've been to the moon, we've checked. But it is still a symbol of deities. The so-called moon goddesses, that is their symbol. So by doing moon rituals, especially the full moon rituals, we are honoring those deities who use the moon as their symbol. It also does connect us with our pagan past, partly because some calendars, many calendars historically, and even many today, are calibrated to the moon. The Chinese calendar is calibrated to the moon. Jewish, Muslims, and Hindus still calibrate their traditional calendars to the moon. Before the invention of electric lighting, the moon was the primary source of light once the sun went down. It's also a way of marking time, not just because it's being used by calendars, but its cycles are so regular. From new moon to full moon takes 14 days. From full moon to new moon takes 14 days. So you can keep track of where you are within the lunar month, and people have used that to keep track of where you are within the year for millennia. Again, that's why they built calendars based on that. I mentioned earlier in another video, everything is made from energy. That coffee cup on my desk, everything is made from energy. It also means that everything emits energy. The moon has its own energy that it emits. And that energy ebbs and flows and changes through the cycles of the moon. So, and as witches, as magicians, as people who work with magic, that energy lends itself very well to our workings. However, magic at a new moon the energy at a new moon is different than at a full moon. The new moon, when it's at its peak, its energy is also at its peak, at its fullest. So this is an opportunity where we can go and use that energy in our spell working to add a little extra oomph to it. lunar holidays, or rituals that follow the moon, are called Esbats. This contrasts to Sabbats, which are form the 8 major holidays of the Wiccan religion and are based on the sun. 4 of them are based on the sun, 4 of them are based on the cross quarters, points halfway between those solar events. But for the moon, they are Esbats. Also, any thing that's not really a Sabbat can be called an Esbat, but most pagans I met use the term Esbat specifically to refer to the cycles of the moon. And now, we're going to talk about the full moon. So, each month's moon has a traditional name and traditional associations. January's moon is the wolf moon. February is the ice moon. March, the storm moon. April has the growing moon. May has the hare moon. June has the mead moon. July has the hay moon. August, the corn moon. September's full moon is known as the harvest moon. October has the blood moon. November is the snow moon. And December is the cold moon. Now, from a couple of those ones, like September's harvest moon and April's growing moon, you can kind of get an idea what these are for, or what their traditional associations are. A couple of them, especially the ones in the colder parts of the month, November, December, November, December, and February, all are cold months that in many places the weather is cold or starting to get cold, and their moon names do reflect that also. There is one other named moon, and that is the blue moon, which is when you have 2 full moons in the same calendar month. So look here, right here. I do believe, if I recall, this year, 2023, we do have a new moon, a blue moon. They happen every year to a year and a half. They happen every 19 months or something like that? I believe it is. They do happen every couple of years. So when somebody says, oh, it's things as rare as a blue moon, it happens infrequently. Let me just double check this here. Yes, August 2023 will have a blue moon on, let's see. Yeah, the month will start with a full moon on August 1st, which would be the corn moon. And then there is another full moon, a blue moon, on August 30th. Okay. Now, if you'd like information about each of those, what each of those individual named full moons are about, you can go on my website, wiccan.pw, click on the link that says Esbats, and then I have a whole listing of them all. But I am going to go at least give you a quick little blurb about each one here. Hold on a second. Okay, for January's full moon, the powers that are associated with it are sluggish. They're going to be below the surface. That it's the moon of beginning and conceiving. It's a moon that's good for protection and reversing spells. The magic you do during this full moon may not be immediately the results may not be immediately apparent, but if you are working big plans, the magic you work here would be really good to help you get them started, get the ball rolling, even if the results, the end game, is not immediately apparent. And obviously it goes without saying, but just because, let's say, this is a moon that's good for beginning and conceiving, you can do that at any time of the year. This moon, just its energies lend extra for those types of purposes, and that applies to all these moons. The February ice moon, its energies are working their way to the surface at this point. The energies in this moon are particularly good for purification, for growing things. You started the ball rolling last month. You are now getting it growing this month. It's good for healing. It is good for helping you love yourself. Help you accept responsibility for your past errors, forgiving yourself, and making future plans. The April moon, also known as the growing moon, this is a moon where, especially good if you are planting seeds. A lot of times this would be the traditional time farmers would start planting crops. It's also, two of its names are known as the planter's moon, the seed moon, or the planting moon. So obviously, its energies are good for creating and producing. It helps return balance to the nerves. Its energies are good for if you want to enact change, grow self-confidence, self-reliance, if you want to take advantage of opportunities. It's also time to work on temper and emotional flare-ups and selfishness. The May hare moon, also known as the bright moon or the flower moon, its energies are good for, again, more the creating energy from last month is starting to reach its peak. It's good for propagation, intuition, contact with the Fae and other supernatural beings. You can strengthen connections with supernatural protectors and beings that are around you. And it's a good time to tap into the power flowing from the Greenwood gods and the trees. The June moon, also known as the Mead moon, also known as the honeymoon, the lover's moon, the strawberry moon, the energy from this moon is full, but it's also restful. It's a good time for to protect, strengthen, and prevent. It's a time of light. The earth tides are starting to turn. What I mean here is, as I said, with the moon, individual phases in a 28-day lunar cycle, the energies change throughout the lunar month. What's the new moon or the dark moon's energies are going to be different than the full moon, and the energies ebb and flow. Well, as we're here in June, we're getting to the middle of the year and at this point the sun has been, the days have been growing longer, the nights have been growing shorter, and we're going to hit the solstice, the longest day of the year, around this time of the year, and then the tides will start turning. The days will start getting shorter, the nights will start getting longer. So it's the cycles of the year are hitting their peak about the same time as the Michun Mead Moon occurs, and they themselves are gonna start to turn. And this is a good time for decision making, for taking responsibility for the present happenings. It's time to work on personal inconsistencies and to strengthen and reward yourself for your positive traits. The July moon, also known as the Hay Moon, also the Blessing Moon, the Moon of Blood. This is allegedly because of the large number of mosquitoes that show up in July. It's also known as the Thunder Moon, the Moon of Claiming. The powers from this moon have a relaxed energy. It is time for preparing, for succeeding, for working on dream work, divination, and meditation, especially on your goals and plans, and especially on the spiritual goals and plans. The August moon, also known as the corn moon or barley moon, also known as the moon when cherries turn black. Its powers are for harvesting, gathering, reaping the rewards of projects, for appreciation and appreciating what you have. It's a time of vitality and health and friendships. The September or harvest moon this is a time to rest after labor. At this time of the year, we see the balance of light and dark. As it's about this time of the year where we have the fall or autumn equinox, when the day and the night are balanced for a point. And then once we get past the fall, the fall equinox, nights will at this point become longer than days. It's time to organize. It's time to clean and strengthen up physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual clutter. It's a time when many cultures would be start getting ready for the winter. Hence why they are cleaning and strengthening up and organizing. The October moon, also known as the blood moon or the falling leaf moon, the harvest, another month known as the harvest moon, but less commonly than September is. It's the moon of the changing season. The energies and powers from this moon, it's a time to let go. It's time for inner cleansing, karma and reincarnation, justice and balance, and inner harmony. November's full moon is known as the snow moon, also known as the beaver moon. Some people do refer to it as the dark moon, although the term dark moon is also sometimes used to refer to the new moon. But the November snow moon, its powers are associated with sorry, behind my green screen's my couch, and the dog just kicked it. Startled me there. It's a time when your plans and your projects should be taking root. You should be preparing. It's a time of transformation. It's time to strengthen communication with the gods and goddesses who seem the closest to you. The December moon, also known as the cold moon, also known as the long night's moon, because the longest night and shortest day of the year do occur towards the end of December, usually around December 21st at the winter solstice. It's the moon of the long nights, the moon of popping trees, the oak moon, or the wolf moon, although that's more commonly associated with another month. powers of this moon is it's a time to endure. It's a time to die, to be reborn. Earth's tides are turning again, because we're now going from the time when the nights are getting longer, the days are getting shorter. Once we've passed the winter solstice, again on about December 21st, the days are going to start getting longer, the nights will start getting shorter. So we're going to start seeing the Earth's tides, the Earth's energies, and the energies that work on the year-long cycle start to turn. It's a time of darkness. It's a time of personal alchemy, spiritual paths. It's time to reach out to friends and family, to reach out to the lonely and to the needy. And then there's finally the blue moon. As I said, this doesn't happen every year. It does happen this year and next, in August, and then in 2024 also. I know there's going to be one. It's the time when you have two full moons in the same calendar month. It's also known as the ancestor moon, the hunter's moon, the hunting moon, and the moon of the dead. The powers associated with the blue moon: it's a time of release, it's a time to remember, it's a time for communication with the dead, it's a time of prophecy, releasing old negative memories and emotions. If you'd like to learn more about each of these individual moons, as I said, if you go on to my website, wiccan.pw, and then from the Book of Shadows, you select the Esphits page, I have a listing for all of those. I also know that in a couple weeks, when we get closer to a new moon, I will do another one of these videos covering about the new moon. They're not as... Whereas each full moon has all these traditional associations, I don't believe new moons really have that many traditional associations. But it is a useful time of the year, or of the lunar cycle, I should say. But also on the Esphits page on my site, what I meant to say there is it does have information about each of the moons. It's going to not only include the powers that I just listed. I also list which nature spirits, which herbs, which colors, which flowers, scents, stones, trees, animals, birds, and deities are associated with each of those moons. And I would like to shout out to the Pagan Rights Coalition. I used their big encyclopedia, their Witchtanica directory, to help put those all that information together. This year, I'm also hoping to write a ritual for every full moon, which will also appear on those pages too. I do have some that are currently listed. Most of those are just ones from my tradition, or from the tradition that I follow, the Correllian tradition, and were wrote by others. But my goal this year is to replace those with ones that I have specifically written myself. So keep tuned for that. I said when we get closer to the blue moon, I do hope to do a video then. When we get closer to the first full moon of the month, of the year, which will be let me look here, probably 2 weeks from now, so looks like January 21st, 2023 will be the first new moon of the year. So that means in about 2 weeks I'll be talking about the new moon. Also, as I tend to do rituals, any rituals that I do as part of my temple, I do put here on my own YouTube channel. Another YouTube channel I would like you to check out is the YouTube channel for the Virtual Circle Sacred Space. You should be able to just type that into YouTube and find it. It's another Correllian temple that does do every month, does a new moon and full moon ritual, or at least almost every month. So if you want to see a sampling what different moon rituals look like, That's an excellent source. Lady Pam, who runs that channel, a good friend of mine. She was actually my first degree mentor. Um, and she does excellent rituals. I think that's all. I think that's all that I really wanted to say about the full moons, at least as a brief introduction, for people who are new to this. So go ahead, as I said, check out that website, Wiccan.pw. That's WICCAN, a period, and then the letters PW. Nothing else. It's my online book of shadows. It's also the website for my temple, the Temple of the Starry Sky. I know for me, my plans this year, I'm going to at least do my best to observe all the full moons, maybe some of the new moons, along with the Sabbats. We will be, which are the big solar holidays. We will be doing a special on each of the 8 Sabbats. I'm doing that partly for this channel, partly in conjunction with people who run the Wiccan, or the Pagan.world website and its TV channel. More information on that will be coming out end of this month, because that will be the first of the holidays. Yeah. Thank you. Take care. May you blessed be. Check out the website. And if you like these videos, subscribing to this channel is the biggest thing you can do to help me out. Liking these videos also helps feed the algorithm and massage it to send more people my way. That's always a good thing. Thank you. Take care. And as I said, may you blessed be.